So I'm just going to. Oh, it's Mark Hayward here. Just some of my thoughts, and it's a slightly political, and I don't really enter into the political sphere. But I wanted to. Carillion has gone bust, and we've had a few in the last 10 years or so, from the credit crunch, for example. Banks were not let to fail. But Carillion was decided that it wasn't big enough to stop it from failing. So it's not a political, because it doesn't matter one side or the other. You would find that maybe one party might be more willing to stop companies fail than others, but that's not the position that I'm starting from. What I want to just challenge you on is, how big does a company need to be before it's too big to fail? So I think in the credit crunch, when the banks were saved, it was essentially not so they were too big to fail, but what would we do if we didn't have the banks there? And there was a real challenge to people and to governments around the world, but it was definitely happening in the UK, that RBS and Lloyds were too important to fail. And so they were saved, and we're still part own RBS, and but Lloyds is mainly paid off now. But when does that come? Is RBS now failing because they're not able to produce enough profits to be able to pay back the government? Does that mean that they're not a worthy company to save? It's just an interesting thought. Carillion was decided that it wasn't big enough to be able to save, and therefore, was it industry that made them decide that, or was it size? So I don't really have all the answers. I suppose I'm being slightly provocative to say that RBS now is a failing company because it's not been able to pay back its money that it owes the government. But I think it's something we should think about, because it might happen. It will happen again. We'll have another recession, depression, whatever we want to call it, and therefore we just have to think about what makes a company too big to fail. Okay, check me out on Twitter, Mark Hayward 169, and I've got some videos, all my videos on YouTube that you can check out at any time, and also there's my podcast, which is on iTunes and Stitcher. Check it out.